up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
All right. Hey, this is State of Mind. And if you like what you see, hit this button. We want to get to 200,000 because that's just what I would love to get to. Obviously, we've done well, but you guys, because of you guys, we've done well. And because of you guys, we're going to get to 200, then to 1 million. And then the person sitting in the other chair is not going to come in because maybe he doesn't want to anymore after this interview. This person I got today is, he is. He's a big star on Days of Our Lives, playing Rafe Hernandez. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estamos, Rafe Hernandez? And he's a funny guy. And it's funny how, because I don't know if I've met, who knows in the soap world, you meet somebody 10 years ago or not, but something told me that he has a great sense of humor, that he's funny. And then he came in here and he made me laugh like right away. And it wasn't anything even that funny. It was just the way he says stuff. And his name is, he said I'm going to mess up his name. GALEN GERING. Not bad.
Pretty good. I'm actually impressed.
See that?
Yeah.
But I had to read it.
I am slightly offended with something else, though.
Which
Already.
one?
We're out of the gate.
Which one, man?
You said I said something that wasn't even that funny. I thought it was pretty funny.
It was. I don't remember what it was, but I know it was a one-liner that wasn't like a joke. You know what I mean?
Fair. I'm kidding, by the way.
So,
was it Steve Burton? Did he say anything?
Steve Burton? No.
You know him?
I don't. I'd rather not talk about him because he's kind of he thinks he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm gonna have to. I tell him all the time that he's not, but he's so big, and all he does is work out and eat.
Yeah. That
it's almost like enough, Steve. That's. How much bigger do you want to get? You're an actor. You're not. Yeah. We're not bodybuilding here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how much bigger do you want to get, and then look in the mirror and say, "I need to get bigger"?
Well, I'm not going to judge him on that, but I am going to say, yeah, you might be right. No offense, Steve, but you're probably never going to watch this anyway, so who cares, right? But we worked together briefly at Days.
Yeah,
he was over there before going back, and he surprised me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And when I say that, I mean, you have a preconceived notion of what someone's going to be. Yeah. And he was completely the opposite of that. And we had many great talks and fun times. And so I just want to say, maybe you're lucky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That he's come back.
Great.
Right? I mean, he left. And
I get you.
That was kind of messed up.
He's a great guy. I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he did something for me about 8-9 months ago that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And
something good and deep as a person, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And that's we had these.
Yeah,
we connected on that level, and that was cool. And I just it's funny in life, like how a lot of times you have this preconceived notion or you have this expectation of something, and then bang, could be totally different.
I know.
And he for me was that person, and I think probably for him too, he could sit there and say, so no matter how buff or big he gets and he wants to be Schwarzenegger, still on the inside he's a good dude. So, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I want to talk to you, and I spelled your name right. These interviews are sometimes just off the cuff,
Yeah, of course.
I want to get into how you grew up, where you were born, and all that. Take me to the promised land.
They're coming for it.
There you go.
Yeah. Stop. Do not tell him. The public doesn't need to know this. Yeah, so I grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Northeast LA. Mount Washington was the area, which is now kind of a cool hipster area. And back then I think it was cool back then, to be honest. It was an artist enclave. My parents were both artists, especially my mom.
I want to talk to you about that.
I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
She's wild. And my grandma was also an artist, although my grandma was less, she did a lot of fine art, but she also like, she had an actual job besides that as an artist, like doing illustrations for Big Bullock's Woolshire, which was like a Macy's or something.
Yeah.
She did that. So she was amazing. But my mom was pretty wild. My parents were pretty wild. I mean, they were hippies. They were a product of the 70s and that generation. And so.
But when you say artist, what do they mean? What were they?
Yeah, so she was a fine artist, canvas predominantly, but all different kinds of mediums. So she would paint in oils and watercolors and do mosaics of things. And, there was she, to this day, I'm sure, does not have one article of clothing that's not entirely covered in paint.
Are you serious?
Hilarious. Like she's a character out of a wild movie. For sure. Our car, in fact, multiple cars growing up were painted.
Wow.
So you can imagine as like, when you start to get to middle school, I guess it is, right? It's very challenging times for a kid.
Yeah.
Now imagine your mom's like a kind of, from the outside, certainly eccentric, if not slightly crazy artist. And you've got a car that's completely painted.
Damn.
It's a lot.
So how did she paint it? Just like regular paint, and it looks like it's painted? And
I mean, this is one of the, we had to cut to the picture,
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to send me that, yeah.
So, so she had this 1967 Plymouth Valiant that was completely painted, head to toe. And so she thought this would be like, they do this kind of nowadays with like a wrap, like a shrink wrap, like on a car, you know what I'm saying? So she had this dream that her company was going to be called Duckland Inc. I don't know why. Wow. Which also meant that we then subsequently had to have ducks. And I'll get more on that in a minute, and you're going to be like, holy shit, you're kidding me. So she paints this car, there's like a duck with eagle wings on the hood. And on the back, there's like it says Duckland Inc. And then the side, there's like tigers coming out. I mean, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, so and my sister and I, it was called a Duckmobile. It said Duckmobile on it. And so our joke was, we would duck so no one would see us in the Duckmobile. And I managed to probably not have anyone at school know for, I don't know, like a year.
Dang.
Which was great. And I thought maybe I could come out of this unscathed, and then everyone found out. And,
Were they nice, or were they?
No, they're freaking awful. Kids, nowadays they're awful. But it's like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And I also learned, when you say they, well, some people were nice and some people were cool. And they were like, that's kind of wild. I mean, I'm glad it's not my mom, but I dig it.
Right.
And then other people like, you're a weirdo, man. Get it, And then those kids later on, once I started to have a career and really like feel more secure with my footing and my sense of self. I mean, usually had a pretty good, strong sense of self, but it's hard when you're sort of pushed out because of these things.
Yeah.
But later on, those people wanted to be part of my life.
Of course.
And I knew. No, of course not.
Yeah.
Why am I going to let you in now?
Yeah.
You've already shown me who you are.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a really important life lesson for me in terms of, knowing who you are, and B, standing that ground and believing in it. But then over time, realizing and knowing that those people that are unhealthy in your life or toxic or whatever term you want to use that aren't helping you, or in fact are probably bringing you down, you got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Get them out, And I think a lot of people suffer fools and deal with keeping these people, maybe they're codependent or whatever, in their lives. And I think people really have to learn to just get them out.
How do you get them out?
You don't talk to them anymore. You tell them, maybe you don't need to get them out, but you need to draw a line, right? You need to say, I don't want to be treated this way. Wow. I'm not going to be treated this way. There are parts about you that I like, your personality, but this can't work.
Yeah.
So you have to stand up for that, and you have to, there are people that will adapt and be like, I'm sorry, you know what? I didn't realize that was affecting you. But then there are other people you just got to get rid of.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's hard that's why I ask you, because it's difficult to know how to get rid of them. Because you get your feelings hurt, or they get their feelings hurt, or they're dicks when dicks. They're not. Yeah, you can cuss. You can cuss. And I don't know. The last interview I did, I didn't cuss the whole time. I'm like, why the hell am I not cussing?
I'll bring out the worst in you.
It's
Son of a bitch.
It's YouTube, you know.
I knew it. No.
So yeah, I think what you were saying is correct. I mean, you have to. I mean, I guess the easy way out is just by not calling them back, kind of ghosting them is what they say now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some people don't deserve your time anyway, right?
Yeah.
But I also feel there are others, and maybe sometimes, what if it's family, right? So then you have to have that conversation or multiple conversations.
Right.
But, and it can be hard because a lot of times, especially if it is family, they're probably older.
Yeah.
They're probably set in their ways.
Yeah.
And you might have to a certain degree, remove yourself from that relationship if you can't find that you can progress in a healthy way.
Well, it's a good topic we're talking about right here, because I don't think I've talked about it much in here. I'm kind of, and there's a lot of people that aren't this way, but I don't. If you do me wrong, whether you're blood or not, I'm out. But some people don't really feel that way. Well, it's blood. It's your brother. It's your sister. It's your mother. It's your father. You can't do that. I said, well, yeah, I can, because it's affecting me in a toxic way. I need to not be around. I don't care if it's blood or not.
Sure.
I don't know. That's just my way of.
You can't pick your family, right? So sometimes there are atrocities that you absolutely have to be out, right? You know what I'm saying? Whatever the depth of that situation is, how bad it is, whatever. I mean, I certainly feel that I love dialoguing. I love trying to talk to people and figuring out, and also not just for me, but maybe for them, right? So, and what I mean by that is, like, if they've done something wrong to me, but maybe it's, we can move past it, then maybe they're not going to do it to someone else now, right? So can that person see the light of day? Can they, be healed and whatever? And by the way, I'm not standing up here acting like I'm on a podium and I'm a perfect person, because, that doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
But I am saying that I think my early life taught me, because of that situation in particular, how to stand up for myself or believe in myself.
Yeah.
And how seeing these people come back around who treated me so bad, like they were just like, just, really like trying to just marginalize me as a person in every way at that age. I felt, anyway, it was, all multiple personal attacks that I could not and did not need them in my life, because, again, they showed me who they were.
Exactly.
They already showed me.
Right.
You don't need a bunch of times. And if you're the type of person who's going back again and again and again to these types of situations that are really unhealthy, then you got to do work on yourself.
Exactly.
So
look at you.
Shit.
Damn.
In my own show.
It's like Gandhi or something. So, shoot. Oh, so I wanted to ask you, I mean, not that just because it's called State of Mind doesn't mean it has to be, you have to talk about mental illness, but any mental health in your life or anything, or some maybe you don't have, which is fine too? Jason Thompson, Jason Thompson?
Of course, yeah.
this dude, we're in here and I'm like, so any mental health? Nothing. I'm like, all right, cool. But he kept asking me, I learned more from him asking me about mental health than I would have learned from him knowing mental health. But anyway.
You mean you tapped into your own?
Yeah, because he kept saying, but I want to learn. I said, all right, ask me some shit.
Right.
It's great.
So I have a funny story for you this morning. So, ironically, I was thinking about, I was supposed to come on the show a few weeks ago, and then I had this charity in the desert and whatnot. I kept pushing it, and your wife's lovely, by the way. Thank you, Paula.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, but I came down this morning to make my coffee, and then I was like, oh, shit. What was that dream I had last night? That was a trippy dream. So I had this dream last night that it was either a play or a TV show, but it was like a live audience, so there was people out there. And I came up and I was like doing this scene. It was like at a desk. So it was me and then there was another person sitting next to me. And then it came to me and I was like completely lost my lines. No idea what I was saying. Gone. And I was like, I got nothing. No, I don't know. It was like, I got nothing, And then whoever was like next to me, like kind of helped me out and filled in, like they knew someone saying was like whatever, and then snapped out of it. And I was like, "What's that? Who's that?" It's not for me. That's not like a work thing. Cause I'm doing this long enough. I mean, look, some days you're like, how am I gonna get through this day? You always find a way. If you've got 3 shows or whatever, you're like, really, but you find it. So it's not that. And then I was like, son of a bitch. It's because this show I got to go on do today. Maurice, what am I going to talk about? And I realized the irony was that you were messing with my state of mind and giving me anxiety, ironically, over a show that talks about it. So,
that's funny.
So that was funny to me. But then the thing I realized was I thought more about it as you think about your dream and like, well, did I wake up there or did it keep going? And the beauty was this. The beauty was it kept going. My other scene partner, whatever, right here, said something funny. I was in the moment and sat in the moment. Like, I can't believe I'm fucking this up. But here we are, guys. And, the show goes on. And then ultimately, everything was fine. And it was not only fine, it was actually like we were kind of better for it. I knew he had my back. The show kept going on. We were all good. And that became, in a way, like this little kind of like profound moment for me in that, like, we have anxiety about things, right?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
But the worst part is, like, sometimes we'll let that anxiety override the actual, like, moment.
Yeah.
So, in other words, like, I was clearly worried about going on the show today. What was I going to talk about? I had this dream about it. And then in the dream, it was like, everything's going to be okay, man. Right? Like, and so it was like, that was really interesting. And then I was like, well, why do we trip out on these things? And then I thought I was doing yoga this morning, which was great. And I was like, well, think about it, right? Like, the negative things in life for us are prickly and they stand out more, right? Like, you can give someone 1,000 compliments. You say one bad thing, they're like, why would you?
Right.
Like, well, what about all these other things? And I was like, just this interesting analogy came to me of like being burned by fire, right? So going back to like basic man and human beginning, origin, whatever, is like you get burned by fire, you learn not to put your freaking hand in the fire.
Yeah.
And I think that is sort of like how our emotions go, is like you don't want that feeling, you get scared of it, you are apprehensive because those things can be really hurtful, not only physically, but clearly mentally. So anyway, I don't know if any of that makes sense.
It does make sense.
But here we are.
Because now I'll talk to you a little bit about, which is actually exactly what you just said, is how I ain't gonna go to the gears again because that's ridiculous. I say it every show, but we can operate with anxiety when we're in a calm state. Kind of what you just said. You can talk it through. You can talk through it. You can say stuff that will help this and this and that. But the problem lies is if you allow it to go to 4th, 5th, 6th gear.
Getting agitated.
I mean, I'm talking.
What's top gear? Or was it like 10 gears?
Look,
Like a 10 speed, or what do we got here?
I would say I've been in 7th gear, where, I've had 3 manic episodes. I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
That can be like 10th gear. And I was put in a mental institution, my first one. But
Wow.
that is, high gear. You can't talk yourself out of that because you can't rein it in.
Right.
But you can do what you just said to minor anxieties that are coming. My problem is I haven't had the team that I've had as far as therapist, psychiatrist, doctor, whatever. I didn't have that before because I was, let's just say, stubborn or a little bit.
Or maybe you didn't know it was as serious.
No, I knew.
Oh, you did?
And I still, for whatever reason, felt like,
You could deal.
yeah. But, you can't talk your way through, like, I just had a little bout with anxiety about a month ago, and Eckhart Tolle, The Power Now, I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah, of course.
He's great.
Yeah.
He said,
I have a CD
yeah, so do I. All of them.
unwrapped. In my
Unwrapped.
garage, I swear I go in there. A CD, by the way. So the CD is a relevant.
Yeah,
part of
I
this
used to have the
conversation.
same thing.
I'm like, Power Now, huh? It's never.
Wow.
I didn't order it. But I think my wife ordered it.
Yeah.
But, who was, I think, my girlfriend at the time, going back.
Yeah.
Which is just really funny.
It's a great, he says pain loves pain.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And pain hates joy. That pain or anxiety can't come when you're happy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way. And, it's just a feeling. And what you said, what my wife would say to me all the time when I'm in these terrible places, you are stronger than you know. Because I say I can't do it anymore. Can't.
Jesus.
And she'd say, honey, you are stronger than you know. And she, she was right.
Yeah.
She was right, even though in the moment, your mind just says.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, thank God for her in that moment.
Thank
She's
God
part of that team.
Yeah. Thank God for her in that moment.
Yeah.
And if you want to go deeper, we're going to get a little bit deep. 8 months ago, she wasn't there. And I had to do it alone. And that's where Steve came in. And Jonathan Jackson and my friend and my other friend, because it's almost like it's unbearable to do it alone.
Well, the beauty.
Look at us getting deep here. What the
but
fuck?
this is awesome stuff.
Okay, all right.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
And weirdly, like making that connection with Steve and talking about getting people out of your life. You obviously have people in your life that are very valuable to you.
Yeah.
Not just, in terms of like the friendship, but as like a deep personal asset.
Yeah.
And I cannot advocate for people to find their people and do that strongly enough.
Yeah.
Especially as we get older, it becomes so important to have multiple people, I think. I mean, you talk about your wife not being there, and so now, you got your friends, and what friends are going to step up, and who's going to be there for me without maybe, me asking for that help. They're recognizing it. And that's powerful shit, know, and that's why you've got to take those proactive steps and realize when people aren't good in your life, you got to get them out because you can only have so many, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say, you've got a handful of these people, if you're lucky, by the way, and 2 or 3 of those people, or even one, whatever, are taking a spot because you can't afford to have that.
Yeah.
Because the rest of those people might not be there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, completely.
So I think that as I get older too, I really just see how important that is. And I see how important it is for my kids.
Yeah.
You know? And if I think back about mentors in my life,
Yeah.
by the grace of God, how lucky I was to have a few people who were able to pick me up at times when shit was sideways. You know? You don't need to be 12 years old going to jail. Like,
No.
you know, and my aunts and uncles who, they're like, I don't know, I don't know how you did it. Honestly, like things weren't looking good for you, and I do credit those mentors. So, you know,
Completely.
and,
Those mentors are so important. I mean, in my life too.
yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
Let's go.
No, let's talk about friends. You know Carmine, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, I
What's
do.
up with Carmine? Dom, you know Dom?
Yeah.
His dad?
Yeah.
How do you, what's going on? You playing golf? Are you like,
Yes.
are you
Yes.
good?
Yes.
Who's better, you or Carmine?
He's a little better.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, no. Even with this busted up back and shit,
He's better?
he's good. He's good. I
Damn.
mean, I'm pretty good.
Now,
So-
what's good? Like, you say he's good. Like good compared to...
Well, like good, like if you were just gonna say like top 1% of golfers in the world on a, you know, not pro level, but on an amateur level,
Yeah.
whatever, like we're both certainly
Really?
that level, yeah.
Like, what do they say? Like,
Like if you can shoot in the 70s,
Right.
which I think he pretty consistently does, and I'm in and out of there, that's
really good.
that's really good.
70.
Yeah.
Like, what does Tiger Woods shoot?
Well, he would shoot in this. I mean, depends on the course, right?
Okay.
So, like, and where you're playing from. And the interesting thing about golf is that I don't want to lose the viewers here, you know, but
No,
there's
we
a-
talk about everything here.
Okay, so there's a handicap system
I like this.
which exists like not in any other sport, right? Like
Yeah.
if we're shooting hoops or something like that, like I'm not going to spot you 10 points. It's just like we're going one-on-one, that's it. But in golf has this handicap system. So let's say that I'm a 9 and Carmine is a 4 or 5, something like that. He would give me, throughout 18 holes, he would give me a couple strokes. So in other words, if he made a 4 on one hole and I made a 5, I might get a stroke on that hole, and so it's a 4 and a 4, and we would push. So if we're betting, it can be, you know, the system is set up so it can be commensurate. So a much better player can play with not so good player, and they still go out there and battle, which is cool.
I get you, yeah.
So, but
And
yeah,
Dom doesn't play.
no, not that I know. No. So, but yeah, Carmine. You know, it's funny. I was actually saw him yesterday, and I was thinking about him in particular in regards to this show, because he has been seemingly more so like on this path of enlightenment.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
You've seen this.
yeah.
I mean, you probably spend more. He's at your house probably right now, right?
He's in my bedroom, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Oh, that's weird, but it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's, you know, like,
but I didn't really know him before or anything. So to me, he's just always been enlightened.
oh, okay.
So, you know.
Yeah, so he just seems like, you know, the other day, I was like, what are you doing? You know, like when we were down in the desert for the charity, and I was like, oh, are you going to come out? You know, we're going to go have some drinks, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm going to go read and do some journaling. Oh, okay. That sounds fun. Are you? So, like, you couldn't do that maybe tomorrow? Like, maybe take a night off and have some dialogue with your buddies? Like, no? You So,
No, that's, yeah, he's on a, how did you get passions?
passions. How did I get passions? So, I was at University of Miami, 1999. And was in film school because I decided I'd always wanted an education. I was always working as a model, actor, renovating homes, doing all this stuff, you know, in Miami and New York. And I always wanted an education. That was always important to me.
Yeah.
And so I was doing part-time college, and when I was at NYU, I mean, it was almost full-time. And then ultimately I was like, went to Miami, and then was was still working a lot while balancing being in college, doing commercials as a model. Like, you know,
You did is it 50 commercials or
at
500?
least. I mean, probably more like
Nationals?
200. No, I wish they were all nationals. I mean, nationals probably more like 10 nationals, but nationals were hard to come by. But like, you know, a lot of commercials all over the world and traveled all over the world.
Really?
Modeling, saw, you know, places.
Okay,
that
hold
I
on.
wanna
Let's
go.
get into this modeling here.
Okay.
Because I tried. I was very unsuccessful. I was too short,
Okay.
and I lied about my height.
You're not that short.
Well, I was 5'9", dude. You can't do it.
You're only 5'9"?
Yeah, you can't do it.
No, that's super short.
It's not good. Acting.
You have much bigger presence than 5'9", you know? You carry a lot of weight, so.
Yeah, but acting is great, right? But not modeling. But I always, let's just put it this way. I always wanted to be doing what you did.
It was pretty
How
great.
was it traveling the world, modeling and doing commercials? Tell me.
So, you know, it's very interesting because it's not at all what you would think in terms of, like, I was nearly killed in Tunisia once.
What?
Right after we had killed Gaddafi's son, and that we were right next to Libya. I was in Tunisia with this Italian. I had graduated high school, and I got what's called a direct booking from an agency in Italy for a big Italian campaign. And direct booking means you haven't gone on an interview. They've just seen your pictures, and they're like, we want that guy. So I had registered at UCLA. I was going to go to UCLA. Believe it or not, I was actually a good student, and amidst the insanity of my life. But we can get more into that. But I get this direct booking. I fly from here. As soon as I graduate, I'm like, I can go. I'm going to defer UCLA. I'm going to go do this job. They were paying me like $15,000. Now, the agency takes half of that, but it was still like $7,500,
Right.
which back then was like, oh, my God, and was like a big campaign. So I'm like, now this is it. This is a launching pad. Then I was going to go from Tunisia straight to Milan. So we get to Tunisia, and I'm working. There are a couple other guys there. One guy was like already like a huge Hugo Boss model. He had like the giant billboards at the time and was like the coolest guy, this guy Thomas. And there was another guy, whatever. But none of them were American. Thomas was an English guy. The crew was all Italian. And another guy, I think, was like, there was a German guy or Austrian, something like that. It was there. So we go to this really cool village in Tunisia, picture like an Indiana Jones mud hut kind of thing with like wares hanging outside and kilim carpets and copper things and, you know, very like really cool archaic, you know, dirt streets and horses going up and down the streets and much people going to and fro and, you know, people playing backgammon, drinking tea, smoking hookahs, the whole deal, you know. So we're in this village shooting, and there's already, because we're shooting there's already like people watching and all this
And
stuff.
how many people were shooting? Just you or somebody else?
Well, it was like,
A
you
chick?
know, there's like 3 models. No, there weren't any girls on this shoot, but there's like a whole crew of people. You got your hairstylist, your makeup artist, your stylist, your photographer,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
photographer's assistant. It was a big job, you know. They're holding the giant scrims and reflectors, and, you know, it looks like a movie set kind of, you know, on a smaller scale, but, you know, legit production.
Wow.
You know, not fancy, real nice suits, you know, these beautiful Italian suits, and everything's just looking pimped. And so we're, you know, bringing a lot of attention to ourselves. And somehow someone starts talking to me. I don't think I was shooting at the time. I think it was just like going next or standing around there just watching, you know, trying to see what these guys did and how they were so successful and whatever. Fake it till you make it, right? So,
Right.
And some guy's like, where are you from? And I was like, Los Angeles. And he's like, America? And I was like, yeah, Los Angeles. You know, and he's like, America. We hate, we kill. We kill. He's American. It's America. And all of a sudden, it starts crackling like wildfire. And they're like, Americans, we kill Americans. And all of a sudden, so the shoot's like totally disrupted now. And also, they're like people coming and they start banging like on pots. And they're like, kill, kill, kill. And I'm like, what?
What
is
the
even happening? I'm like 18 years old. What is even going on? And some like little like pudgy guy comes up and he's like, come with me. Come. And I was like, what? And I remember I had just been reading these Paul Bowles novels, and one of the novels was like with this Middle Eastern guy who was literally like drugged and then like sold into slavery. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is how it happens. Like, this is literally happening right now, but I had no choice. The freaking crew is like disbanding. People are coming in out of nowhere, coming out of the shops. They're like, what? America? Like real hostile, wasp nest, like mob mentality shit. He's like, come. So he whisks me away. We go running, go into this like area, and he's like, lay down. And I was like, what? And he freaking starts throwing carpets on top of me. You know, they have like carpets. There's like, you know, they're selling carpets in these little like bazaars.
Right.
And I hide under a pile of carpets.
No.
And I lay there for like 15 minutes, and then he like whisks me out some back way. And then, as insult to injury, now, and by the way, kind of like rightly so, the crew is like,
they ain't working.
you gotta go. I was like, what? No, amore, this is no good. You're in trouble for this thing. So now I get like basically almost like kicked off the job. We couldn't go back to that location. We had to go to some like remote place or whatever. And then, I mean, the story goes on. So then I'd actually, the first trip I had to London, I was deported. I literally flew in. They were like, oh, you're here to work? I was like, no, I'm not here to work, but I had a portfolio. I had pictures with me, and they're like, the proof is on you once we get this thing. So I literally had to fly back to America the next day. So I flew into Heathrow Airport, flew back the next day. They kept my passport. I did get to see Anthony Hopkins on Broadway, though. That was dope.
That's
in that
cool.
butterfly.
All right, Galen, look, I know can talk here for hours, but,
And have, seemingly.
no, I think it's been fun. I love it. We got deep early, which is great.
Did we?
Yeah, because that way I don't have to do it later and think I didn't do something or.
Oh, well, then
We
you
did
did
it.
great.
We did it a lot early. I think Galen's a really good guy.
I agree. He's
Deep.
amazing.
Deep, funny, deeper than I think. At least I didn't know where this conversation was going to go, and to me, it became very interesting. And he's got an interesting life. I mean, damn. So I just want to say to Galen, I'm going to give you $100. No.
That's it. I feel like that was like at least like 120 for that. Come on, man.
I'll give you 150.
Things are good.
150.
All right, all right.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. It was my pleasure, honestly.
It was fun.
Yeah,
We're gonna
man.
take
I
pictures
think
now.
You do a great thing with this.